Imagine downloading a piece of software that relentlessly pursues a customer across every single app on their phone, every single day, for a year.
Yeah, until they finally agree to a meeting.
Right. Is that a digital stalker, or is that the ultimate sales machine?
Welcome back to the deep dive. We know you are here because you want those high-yield, perfectly distilled insights without, the overwhelming fluff.
Exactly. We want to get right to the core of it.
So today, we are going on a mission to unpack a fascinating and, frankly, a somewhat intense document. It details a piece of software called AutoCaller.
Which is really making waves right now.
It is. It's an AI system designed to attach directly to Facebook ads or really any digital marketing campaign you're running. And its sole purpose is to automatically turn those raw leads into booked calls or live transfers.
And the success rate they're claiming is what's really wild here.
Yeah, a staggering 30% success rate.
Which, just to put that into perspective for you, if you're familiar with standard industry conversion rates, that is an absolutely massive number.
Totally. Because a typical conversion rate from like a raw digital ad click to an actual booked appointment on a calendar, that's often in the single digits.
Right. You're usually fighting for like 2 or 3%.
Exactly. So hitting 30% consistently, it requires a fundamental change in how a business actually interacts with potential buyers.
Okay, let's unpack this. The foundational philosophy of this entire AutoCaller system is built on 3 very specific pillars: speed, quantity, and quality.
Right, the holy trinity of sales.
Exactly. Now, speed is fairly straightforward. In the digital landscape, the moment someone clicks an ad or submits a form, a countdown clock starts.
Yeah, if you don't reach them in those first 5 minutes, their attention is completely gone.
But that second pillar, quantity, that's where I actually had to pause and reread the blueprint.
It's aggressive.
It is so aggressive. The system operates on the premise that reaching out more times over a much longer time horizon across multiple different channels simultaneously dramatically increases the booking rate.
And when we say multiple channels, we mean all of them.
Yeah, we're talking phone calls, text messages, emails, Instagram direct messages, WhatsApp, all of it. And it executes this omni-channel barrage for an entire year.
365 days of automated pursuit.
Which I have to push back on this quantity pillar for a second.
Sure.
Because is there a line between persistence and just, well, being a 365-day digital stalker?
It definitely sounds like it toes that line.
It sounds less like a nuanced sales strategy and more like a Terminator whose only mission is booking a calendar slot. Like it refuses to leave you alone until you schedule a Zoom call just to make it stop.
Well, what's fascinating here is how the designers of the architecture attempt to balance that exact tension.
Okay, how so?
Because if it were just standard, generic, automated spam, hitting your phone and your email every single day for a year, the lead would just block the number by day 3.
Well, 100%. I'd block it by day 2.
Right, and that is where their third pillar quality becomes the critical counterweight. The system isn't just some basic chatbot pinging you with a generic, "Hey, are you still interested?" message. It is explicitly trained on highly advanced human sales methodologies.
Meaning the AI actually has to be genuinely good at holding a real conversation.
Exactly. It's the difference between someone shouting at you from across the street every day versus a highly articulate, persuasive conversationalist who just, happens to keep bumping into you at the coffee shop and the gym and the grocery store.
So it's about omnipresence, but it's not annoying.
Right. It's a highly calibrated, high-quality omnipresence. The software is specifically designed to prevent alienating the customer by mimicking the absolute highest tier of human sales etiquette.
So instead of just hitting you with endless buy now texts, it's actually navigating a nuanced conversation.
Exactly.
But getting a machine to do that effectively, that requires a massive shift in how we structure a business. Understanding the philosophy is one thing, but how does this machine actually change the architecture?
Well, installing the system isn't like downloading a simple app from the App Store.
Right, the source says it takes a full 6-week installation period to get this running.
Yeah, 6 weeks of heavy lifting.
And during those 6 weeks, the developers are building this high-converting agent. They are custom building its tonality to match the specific vibe of the business, and they are loading it with all possible sales objections and intricate SMS and email sequences.
Which is why we really need to look at how this redefines the traditional marketing funnel, because that structural shift is arguably the most important takeaway for anyone listening to this.
Yeah, let's get into that, because historically, everything before capturing a lead was considered the funnel.
Right. You run a Facebook ad, the user clicks it, they land on a web page, and they enter their email address. funnel complete.
But everything after that moment traditionally required human intervention.
Always.
A human had to pick up the phone and make the call, or write the custom text message, or send the personalized email to actually get that person onto a calendar.
But AutoCaller effectively takes that entire post-lead process and turns it into a fully automated funnel right up to the exact second of a booked appointment.
It totally redefines where the funnel ends.
Hmm.
The way I was visualizing this as I read through the mechanics, it's like an automated factory conveyor belt that used to stop right at the warehouse door.
Okay, I like that.
The marketing team got the box to the door, and then human workers had to physically pick up those heavy boxes and carry them the rest of the way down the street and into the customer's living room.
Right.
But now, with this software, that automated conveyor belt is being extended straight into the customer's living room.
That is a brilliant way to conceptualize the shift. And if we analyze why extending that conveyor belt is so valuable, it really comes down to eliminating friction and unpredictability.
Because humans are unpredictable.
Exactly. Human sales teams,
Yeah.
the SDRs and BDRs, those sales development reps whose entire job is just dialing numbers and following up all day to book appointments, they introduce an immense amount of friction into the process.
Because humans get tired.
Humans get tired, they forget to follow up on day 14, they have a bad morning, and their tonality on the phone is completely off.
Or they just don't want to call a hot lead at 8 p.m. on a Sunday.
Right, even if that is the exact moment the lead submitted the online form and is ready to talk.
You also have the context switching problem, right? Like a human rep doesn't want to switch between an email thread, a CRM database, and a WhatsApp conversation just to track down one single person who might not even answer.
Exactly. The human element, while previously necessary for the nuance of a real conversation, was actually the weakest link in the operational chain.
Wow.
Automating the post-lead phase, turning the follow-up itself into a seamless, unbreaking funnel, removes the behavioral unpredictability of a sales staff from the equation entirely.
Okay, but extending that automated conveyor belt right into someone's living room creates a massive technical problem.
Oh, absolutely.
Because how do you ensure the machine doesn't drop the box? If we are extending this automated process that far, the machine has to be incredibly smart.
It has to be flawless.
Right. How exactly does an AI learn to sell like a master without sounding like a robot?
This is where the custom architecture really shows its technical complexity. The system uses a central brain called AutoScript.
Yeah, and they're using a custom GPT model. But instead of just letting it scrape the open internet, they feed it winning sales scripts from absolute legends in the marketing and sales space.
Right, guys like Jeremy Miner, Cole Gordon, and Alex Hormozi.
They basically extract the tactical genius of these real-world heavyweights and use it to train the AI on how to handle difficult objections, how to pace the conversation, and how to utilize tonality effectively.
And it goes way beyond just chatting in a text box. The operational permissions this AI has are vast.
Yeah, it acts as a central brain connected via APIs.
Right, those digital bridges that let different software programs talk to each other. It connects directly to the company's phone lines, text software, and calendar systems all simultaneously.
Now, here's where it gets really interesting to me, but also a bit wild.
All right.
If it's synthesizing the scripts of master persuaders like Hormozi, does the AI actually understand the psychology of the sale? Or is it just perfectly mimicking the cadence of confidence?
Well, if we connect this to the bigger picture, the distinction between understanding psychology and mimicking confidence might actually be entirely irrelevant if the final outcome is identical.
That's a fair point.
Yeah.
If the meeting gets booked, does it matter?
Exactly. But what you just highlighted, that the omnichannel multitasking, is precisely where the AI transcends human capability.
Because if the AI is on a live voice call with a lead, it can simultaneously text that same lead a payment link or a physical address without ever breaking the flow of the verbal conversation.
Right. And it can also analyze the sentiment of the conversation in real time.
And automatically move the lead into a new pipeline stage in the company's CRM.
Exactly. The customer relationship management software, basically the master spreadsheet of where every customer is in the buying journey.
Because a human literally has to physically switch screens to do that. If I'm on a live call with you and we agree on a price, I have to say, hold on one second. Let me pull up the billing software, type in your details, generate the link, open my text app, and hit send. I'm literally pausing the conversation to do admin work.
Think about the cognitive load on a human salesperson in that moment.
It's massive.
If you are on a live phone call trying to actively negotiate, handle a complex objection, and maintain a persuasive, empathetic tonality, your brain is maxed out.
Yeah, there's no bandwidth left.
So if you suddenly have to open a CRM, analyze the macro sentiment of the call to update a pipeline stage, generate a custom payment link, and text it to the client while still speaking seamlessly. I mean, a human cannot do that. You lose the momentum of the pitch.
You break the conversational style.
Exactly. The AI's true power here isn't just that it has a great conversational script written by Alex Hormozi. It's the seamless integration of external tools.
It's executing omnichannel warfare without skipping a single beat.
Yes, it acts as the persuasive voice, the administrative assistant, and the data analyst all in the exact same millisecond.
That is undeniably effective. And maybe a little terrifying if you were competing against it.
It's spinning all the plates perfectly.
But let's look at the flip side of this equation. So the AI is armed with the best scripts in the world. It can multitask like a supercomputer. But what happens when the lead just ignores the initial outreach?
Because we all ignore things constantly.
Right. We see a text from an unknown number, we assume it's spam, and we swipe it away.
But the machine doesn't get discouraged. It settles in for a year-long campaign.
The 365-day siege.
Yeah, the follow-up protocol. They deploy specific tactics for this. They use what they call human-like texts, designed specifically to force a reply.
Like a simple, casual question just to get you to engage.
Exactly. And the moment you finally reply, the AI takes over the back-and-forth banter.
But the really fascinating part to me is their email strategy for this year-long campaign.
Oh, the Seinfeld sequence.
Yeah, they use something called the Seinfeld email sequence.
It's named after the famous sitcom about nothing.
It's exactly like the show. These are emails designed to be, first and foremost, entertaining. Second, educational. And third, trust building.
And they always end with a very soft call to action, like a subtle link at the bottom.
Right. And these emails are structured to fit perfectly no matter what stage of the funnel the lead is in. Whether you just clicked the ad yesterday or you already booked a call and canceled it 6 months ago, you get the Seinfeld emails.
Because they're just entertaining stories.
But here's my major pushback on this entire strategy.
Let's hear it.
At the end of the 365 days, if you still haven't booked an appointment, the system has a go-to button that simply loops you all the way back to the very first email of the year.
It literally restarts the entire sequence from day one.
Wait, so after 365 days of reading these entertaining and educational emails, it just hits the rewind button and plays the exact same season of the show over again?
It does.
Isn't that banking a bit too heavily on our collective amnesia? Are people really not going to notice they are reading the exact same story about a coffee shop from 12 months ago?
It sounds counterintuitive. Perhaps even a bit cynical, but let's unpack the psychological brilliance of the Seinfeld sequence.
Okay, lay it on me.
What this system is capitalizing on is the reality of human attention in the digital age. It proves that continuous engagement relies far more on providing consistent, lightweight entertainment than on constantly generating brand new, profound information.
So the feeling the email gives you is actually more important than the factual data inside the email.
Exactly. You aren't studying this email with a highlighter. You are reading it to be briefly entertained for 30 seconds while standing in line at the grocery store or, waiting for a traffic light to change.
Right.
So by the time 365 days have passed, your brain has completely flushed the specific narrative details of a soft sell marketing email.
That makes sense.
You might recognize a vague sense of familiarity when you read it the second time, but that familiarity actually breeds trust. You feel like you know the sender. The loop works perfectly because it respects the incredibly low cognitive investment the consumer is making.
If you are running a business right now, or even just working in marketing, you have to realize that this changes your overhead completely.
Oh, entirely.
You no longer need to budget for a copywriter to write 100 new emails every single month forever. You just need 365 really good, entertaining emails, and you let the machine spin the wheel.
It's banking on the fact that we are all basically goldfishes when it comes to our inboxes.
Which makes an uncomfortable amount of sense, honestly.
It's a stark acknowledgement of the sheer volume of information we process daily. We simply don't have the hard drive space to remember a marketing email from last March.
So, eventually, this relentless looping system works. The lead replies to a text, the AI handles the objection seamlessly, and they finally book a call on the calendar.
Success.
You'd think the AI's job is done. The automated conveyor belt has dropped the box in the living room, but the source reveals a fascinating post-booking phase.
And surprisingly, this is where we see the absolute necessity of human oversight.
Yeah, which is crazy to me after all this automation.
Well, the transition from the fully automated machine back to a human closer. is arguably the most delicate part of the entire operation.
Because if it feels disjointed, the trust the AI built over the last year evaporates instantly.
Exactly.
So once the appointment is booked, an automated confirmation sequence drops value adds and testimonials to warm up the lead.
Right.
Then they get a text directing them to a specific confirm page. And on this page, there's a custom video designed to completely pre-sell them on the program.
So by the time the actual human gets on the Zoom call, the lead is fully primed and ready to buy.
But to make this entire AI ecosystem function perfectly in the first place,
Right.
it requires a human holding a very specific job title,
A deploy prompt engineer.
which is a role that didn't even exist a few years ago.
Not at all.
Just like you have to sit next to a human SDR and coach them on their calls, the AutoCaller AI must be, quote, ramped in.
Right. It needs coaching.
This human engineer sits inside your business, listens to the voice and text conversations the AI is having with real leads, and constantly adjusts the system's master prompt.
They have to tell the AI what to say and what not to say moving forward.
And they dial in the conversion percentage, backed by a KPI guarantee, meaning key performance indicator. They literally guarantee the software will hit specific performance metrics, or they work for free until it does.
Which just shows you that it requires a massive amount of fine-tuning to keep an AI from hallucinating or drifting off brand.
So my takeaway here is to get this perfect autonomous machine, you essentially need to hire a highly specialized dog trainer.
That's a good way to put it.
You're just standing there constantly pulling on the leash, saying, no, bad AI, don't say that to a lead, offer them a different time slot, until it learns the exact right behaviors for your specific company culture.
And this raises an important question about the trajectory of technology in business. We often assume automation simply means the elimination of human labor.
Right. You buy the software, you fire the staff, and the machine runs itself.
But the paradox of automation is that the more automated and complex a system becomes, the more highly specialized, nuanced human labor is required to maintain its parameters.
So you don't need 50 entry-level guys making cold calls in a boiler room anymore. But you desperately need one absolute genius to babysit the robot making the cold calls.
Exactly. The human labor shifts from raw execution to high-level calibration.
Wow.
The AI can execute 1 million calls a minute. It can text and email simultaneously, but only a human can understand the subtle cultural context of why, say, a specific joke in an email isn't landing right with a specific demographic in a specific city.
And then they tweak the master prompt to fix it.
Exactly. The human provides the contextual boundaries, and the empathy the AI provides the limitless scale and the flawless execution.
It really is a profound shift in how commerce operates. AutoCaller represents a shift where everything from the initial ad click to the months of follow-up texts to the entertaining daily emails, right down to the final pre-call warm-up video, is completely
A
synthetic.
fully automated life cycle.
It's a landscape where an AI, trained by the ghosts of great salespeople, texts you jokes for a year until you finally agree to a meeting.
It's brilliant, and it is relentless.
And it forces us to completely rethink the architecture of what a sales team actually is.
And, as we reflect on this total synthesis of the sales process, it leaves us with something critical to consider.
How's that?
If every business eventually adopts these AI agent systems that perfectly mimic top-tier human sales psychology across every channel, 24/7, without ever dropping a lead or forgetting a follow-up, how long will it take for human consumer behavior to adapt?
That's a great question.
Will we eventually develop an entirely new blindness to perfect communication, to the point where the only way to actually prove you're a human business and build real trust is by intentionally making a mistake?
Oh, wow. That is a wild thought to leave off on. The typo is the ultimate proof of humanity. Well, we hope you enjoyed going on the deep dive with us today. As always, we encourage you to stay curious, look closely at those automated messages in your own inbox, and keep questioning the systems operating just behind the screens. We'll catch you next time.